In this episode, we're going to discuss the first Super Minigame Saturday, what I thought about the first playing of rock, paper, scissors, and then we're going to dive into a viewer question about the challenge ladder and how to play it. If this sounds interesting to you, please stand by. Hey, all you Atlas Earthlings, welcome back. Bronze Dragon here, once again saying thanks for dropping by. As always, I appreciate the time you spend with me. If you like this kind of content, please leave a like on the video and think about subscribing if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. If you have, I appreciate it, so thanks. Okay, let's dive in. This last Saturday, we had the first occurrence of what they're calling the Super Minigame Saturday, which I thought was a great idea. We also had the first occurrence of rock, paper, scissors, where everybody in, I think, the United States got to try out rock, paper, scissors for an hour during the Super Minigame Saturday. Okay, so first off, I think the Super Minigame Saturday, how many times can I say that within 5 minutes? It is a great idea, okay? It is a long day, okay? They have all the games back to back to back during a Saturday. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sit there and play all the games. That would be an extremely long day. And shout out to Pharaoh Silver, who over on the Beer Money Engine did his longest live stream ever on Saturday. And I popped in and out a few times for a few different hours during the day, but I didn't stay the whole time. But he live streamed for, I think he said, like 14 hours. But I think the big picture here is that the idea is that once or twice a month, there will be mini games on a Saturday, so that if you have to miss one of the other mini games during the week, one of the other weeks, and say, for instance, you have them on the challenge ladder, or you just missed them because of your scheduling, and you wanted to go ahead and pick up some mini games, play them for Atlas bucks, then you could go ahead and hit them up on Saturday. So I don't think overall the idea was to have people sit there and play them for 12 hours straight, although you probably could. It would get very tiring pretty quickly. But I think the idea is to provide an outlet for people who have to miss the other mini games during the week for work or whatever you're doing. Some of the way to pick those up. So I think that's a great idea. Now, as far as rock, paper, scissors, it occurred pretty late at night over here on the East Coast where I'm at. It was between 10 and 11 p.m. We were live streaming over on the Beer Money Engine, and it was a fun time. I think that I'll just speak for myself. I found rock, paper, scissors. Let's just say it's a game I probably would not go out of my way to play again if I didn't need to. Maybe for the challenge ladder like I play everything else. But then again, you know, I don't play a whole lot of mini games to start with. They're just not up my alley. So either way, I would rate it right above Warship, which I consider probably the one that I don't like the most. You know, there's nothing wrong with it as a game. There's absolutely no strategy to it as well at the base. You know, it really comes down to you're just trying to figure out what the other person is going to throw, which is in a lot of cases just random. So you're just to give you an example, the complete last 5 turns or 5 matches I took of that hour. I did random. You can go online, a random rock, paper, scissors generator, and I used that, and I won all 5 matches. So, you know, it is what it is. It's not as bad as Warship, in my opinion, but, you know, it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to play. But with that said, I think they were trying to come up with a game that was completely different than the other games that some people complained about, some people like, some people don't like, etc. But most of the other games have some kind of skill set that you build to get better, whether that's learning a pattern or whether that's reflexes or whatever it is. You can generally, if you play it more, provided you have a good internet connection, you can get better. Or you could be like me and not be great at them and just decide not to play. So either way, we'll see how that goes. Rock, paper, scissors is planned for next week at some point, so everybody will get a taste of it. As far as I haven't heard how the Saturday went and how if there were any issues in the background as far as from the team's perspective. But I think overall this is one of those things that they were testing out. I dropped a video on Friday because that's when I found out about it. They're testing it out to be able to use it for everybody, right? We have no news on when that will happen, but I didn't see any issues with it from my end, But then again, all I really played, I jumped in for a few different hours to watch people play, but I just played the rock, paper, scissors there at the end. I didn't really intend on playing the whole hour, but we were laughing and joking around and everything, and everybody was getting along. So I just played the whole hour. I ended up placing like 350th or something like that. It was enough to get 60 Atlas bucks, so I'm not complaining. It was a fun time on the stream. Will I end up going out of my way to play it again if I don't need it for the challenge ladder? Probably not, but anything's possible. Okay, I had a viewer, shout out to Lone Howler, who left a question / comment on my video today, and I thought it was interesting, so I thought I'd dive into it for a few minutes here and provide a little bit of my feedback on it. Lone Howler says, could you give some tips on the challenge ladder for those of us who are terrible at the mini games? Me too. I played a bunch of bowling games yesterday and just barely managed 2 wins. I still need 2 more wins before I get that challenge. I work nights, so often the games are running while I'm at work and I cannot participate. Okay, so the games, first of all, if your goal is to get better at the games, the mini games, I would suggest going over to the Beer Money Engine channel and watching some of their live streams. Usually they live stream over there. There's a few of the guys that live stream the different mini games, and they show what they're doing and talk about it, and you can ask questions. Okay, so if that is your goal. Okay, now besides that, if your goal is more looking at the challenge ladder, then you have to understand a few things about the challenge ladder. First of all, you have your lightly weighted challenges and your heavily weighted challenges. The heavily weighted challenges are generally where you have to spend something or one of the challenges where the company, Atlas Reality, makes some money off of it. So we can look at the spreadsheet here in a minute. But the fact of the matter is, if you are playing free to play, you're pretty much going to have to rely heavily upon those mini games. Okay, now they designed the challenge ladder well enough that you can pick and choose some of the things that you don't want to do, and it's very adaptable. In other words, you're not like in this straight hallway where you have to do X, Y, and Z. There's a number of things you can do, but you're going to have to choose where you pick up your points. So let's take a look at okay, so we are, let me get my head out of the way here. We are over on the spreadsheet that Annalise, CW, and Cashul upkeep on a monthly basis. And in fact, you can see that the spreadsheet goes back to November when it started. And you can do some comparisons, or you can just look at the newest month. On a monthly basis, they upkeep this with other people's input, and it's usually pretty set within the first 10 days or so. But the important part here is looking at what the challenge is on the left and the requirement and the points. Okay, so here's an example. The mini games very lightly point weighted, which means you're going to need a lot of the games to complete and get enough points to complete the ladder. Whereas something like complete surveys, you're getting 100 points for one survey, 125, 160, 180. A prime example of something that is heavily weighted that you can do and get a lot of points out of, and it's heavily weighted because the team, the company makes money off of every survey you do. Okay, so that's one. The boosts are pretty lightly weighted with points as well, but those are pretty much give-me's that you can do just by doing your normal boost, which you should be doing anyway, right? Convert virtual rent to Atlas Buck. This is pretty heavily weighted as well, too. So this is something I don't go heavily into, but I do the first 2 levels because with the first, for one Atlas buck or for $1 rent, you can get 40 points, and for $2 rent, you can get 50. I generally don't go above that, but that's your decision because you're getting Atlas bucks out of it anyway. And if it happens to fall within at the end of the month when you have the 33 to 1, so much the better. And at the end of the year, 40 to 1, when and if that happens again, so much the better on that. So it's heavily weighted, but you do have to give up some of your rent for it. You're getting Atlas bucks out of it, though. Something to think about. Purchase parcels is pretty heavily weighted. I have no problem doing purchase parcels because that's what the game is based upon. And I have a steady plan on a monthly basis. I'm trying to hit like 100 parcels per month. Most months I've been able to do that. So I have no problem doing the purchase parcels and getting the points out of it. The trick is saving your Atlas bucks and actually buying or doing enough challenges so that when you go to buy your parcels, you don't have to do a lot of trips over there. Now, if you're just buying them around your house, no harm, no foul. You can just go ahead and buy your parcels whenever. But like I said, I'm in a situation, and a lot of people are in a situation where you have to go driving. So I want to, cut down my amount of trips. So right up front, I try to slam through a bunch of challenges before I even go out to buy that first parcel. And then when I buy that first parcel, the second and possibly like this month, the third level of purchase parcel pops up. So I was able to do first level and get 40 points, the second level buy 3 and get 70 points, and the third level buy 5 and get 90 points. And so much the better if you have enough to go ahead and get that fourth level and get 120 points. So once again, this is heavily weighted. You get more points for it because theoretically, if you didn't have the Atlas bucks saved up, which is a virtual currency, you would have to buy those just to pass that. So another function where the company, that's the base way the company makes money, right? Okay, so another heavily weighted item to check out. Now, complete arcade goals. This is pretty heavily weighted too, but this also takes a fair amount of time depending upon the game you download, okay? So usually at the beginning of the month, I set myself up to go into the first week and kind of look at the games I have available in the arcade, and I look at the points and try to pick one that is given a pretty good spread of points without requiring, like doing hundreds of levels, right? Sometimes you guess right, sometimes I guess wrong, right? I was able to plow through a game last month and made pretty good progress. The game I downloaded this month, it's going a lot slower. So it's pick and choose. I like to just pick the games that give you a fair payout, look like you're going to be able to proceed through them relatively quickly, and something that doesn't make you pull your hair out. It's not like a game that you're going to hate playing, right? And go through and try to get that first level and get your 75 points, and then stop until that second level of the arcade goals pops up. Don't, if you're having fun with the game, don't keep playing it, right? Or you could proceed most of the way until that next goal, and then kind of set yourself up for when the next challenge for the arcade goal pops up, you're ready to go, bam, okay? And then possibly proceed to the third tier. Basically, you're playing more arcade games to get those points and fewer mini games. So, but I mix both. The buy badges for city and state, when they pop up, I think that really just depends upon where you are in your buying badges to proceed, to bring your own game forward. Buying a badge or two here or there is still good to, you're going to need that to progress your game anyway. They're pretty lightly weighted as far as points go, though. So book travel, very heavily weighted, also expensive, probably something that most people don't use. I'm just inferring that. I don't use it because I don't travel a lot. But if you do, I have seen some people get some really nice payouts, like in the thousands of Atlas bucks, depending upon what kind of trip you're going to book. no experience there. Like I said, I don't use it. That's one of those challenges I never do. Will I do it in the future if we decide to go on a vacation? Probably. I'll probably try it out. Why not get free Atlas bucks, right? And AMP missions. AMP missions are something here in the States that I use, and I use heavily for my Atlas bucks. I use an AMP mission at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, getting lunch and dinner, going down to the auto parts store and things like that. And in fact, I'm looking forward to the progress and the expansion of the AMP program that was on the roadmap for this year. So AMP missions, heavily weighted, but once again, something you're going to spend money on, but I kind of discount that because you're getting food or whatever else you're buying anyway. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. So I'm showing here the completed challenges that I did to actually complete my challenge ladder within the first 5 days of this month. And you can see, just like I've been talking about, I went through the boost rent. I did buy one badge this month just because I happened to be down there and I happened to find a badge I didn't have. I went through the AMP missions, the boost rent, surveys. I played a little bit of golf, but not a whole lot, just enough to clear those off of my challenge ladder. Didn't purchase parcels like I talked about. AMP missions, converted a couple levels of virtual rent, some fishing, some more AMP missions, arcade goals. Just like we said, more surveys. I don't find surveys too hard. In fact, some of the surveys you can click on, and if you try some of the bigger surveys, and there's a good chance you're going to get dumped out of the survey anyway. After a few minutes, it dumps you out, but a lot of times you get 1 or 2 Atlas bucks for your time, but that's not the main thing there. The main thing is there you get credit for that, for trying on the challenge ladder, and you get all those extra points and surveys. And you can see that's exactly what I completed my challenge ladder with. Not a whole lot of mini games, but I do the AMP missions, and there's some several of the things I use are the heavily weighted challenges, but it depends upon how you're playing the game. Some of the people that are hardcore free to play are like, no, we're not doing those. Well, if you fall in that bucket, then you're going to have to practice your mini games and do a lot of mini games. But with that said, that Super Minigame Saturday, if and when they get that implemented, should help you out, because it'll give you another day during the week where you can try and pick up a few of those mini games. Either way, I hope this has helped everyone. In the comments, let me know what you thought of Super Minigame Saturday in the comments if you are here in the States. If not, what do you think of the idea of it going worldwide? Did you like rock, paper, scissors? What'd you think of that? Let me know that in the comments as well. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And hey, I'll see you in Atlas Earth.